Hello and welcome to the session on measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. Now, we may begin with measures of central tendency. How can we calculate the mean, median and mode? Sometimes we are given the data in a table. The methods for calculating mean, median and mode and range are exactly the same, but we need to think carefully about how we carry them out. In this section, we will use one set of data in a table and calculate each measure in turn. For example, details of a dice which was rolled 20 times is given in the frequency table. On each roll, the dice shows a value from 1 to 6. It is given in table. In the first column, values are given, in the second column, frequencies are given. The frequency is the number of times each value occurred. For example, the value 1 was rolled 3 times, the value 2 was rolled 5 times and so on. When we want to think about calculating the measures for this data set, it can be helpful to think about what the numbers would look like if we wrote them out in a list 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3 and so on. We could just calculate the mean, median, mode and range from this list of data using the methods described in the first part of this section. The problem is that if there were hundreds of values in the table, then it would take a long time to write out the list of data and even longer to do the calculations. It would be better if we could work directly from the table to calculate the measures. Let us begin with the calculation of mean or arithmetic mean. To calculate the arithmetic mean of a set of data, we must first add up all of the data values, that is x, and then divide the result by the number of values, that is n. Since sigma is the symbol used to indicate the values are to be summed, we obtain the following formula for the mean, that is x dash, that is equal to sigma x divided by n. You have learned the method of calculating mean from raw data. How can we find out the mean from the table of data? From the table, in the first column values are given, in the second column frequencies are given. We know that if we write the example data in a list, it looks like this 1 1 1 2 2 and so on. Normally, we would add up the data and divide the total by the number of values. The total is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 and so on, and in total it is 68. The number of values is 20. So, the mean is 68 divided by 20, that is 3.4. We could have found these figures more easily. To get the total, we have added up 3 lots of 1, 5 lots of 2, 2 lots of 3, 4 lots of 4, 3 lots of 5 and so on. This is the same calculation as 3 into 1 plus 5 into 2 plus 2 into 3 and so on, in total 68. We have multiplied each value by its frequency and added up the results to get the total of all the values. We can also get the number of values more easily by simply adding up all the frequencies, that is 3 plus 5 plus 2 plus 4 plus 3 plus 3, that is 20. So, how do we do this in a table? Firstly, you need to add an extra column in the table in which you may multiply value into frequency. This is where you multiply each value by its frequency. For example, the value 5 has a frequency of 3. So, we multiply 5 by 3 to get 15. Secondly, you need to calculate two important totals. Firstly, add up the values in the frequency column to find out the number of data values. In this case, there are 20 values. Secondly, add up the values in the value into frequency column to find out the total of all the data values. In this case, the total is 68. Finally, you need to calculate the mean. To do this, divide the total of all the data values by the number of data values. In this case, you need to divide 68 by 20, giving 3.4. This method of calculating the mean for a table of data is exactly the same as the one used with a list of data. we have still added up all the values and divided by the number of values, but this way is a bit more efficient. You have learned the method of calculating mean. What about median? The median value of a set of data is the middle value of the ordered data. That is, the data must be put in numerical order first. In general, the median is at the n plus 1 divided by 2th value. Finding the median from a table of data. In the table, values and frequencies are given. We know that there are 20 data values in our table. If you imagine the 20 values written out, there would be 2 values in the middle. These would be the 10th and 11th values, and the median would be the mean of these 2 middle values. From the list below, we can see that the middle values are 3 and 4, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2 and up to 6. The median would therefore be 3 plus 4 divided by 2, that is 3.5. So, how do we do this from a table? Because there are 20 values, we know that we need to find the mean of the 10th and 11th values. To find these values, we need to count through the table until we get to them. Look at the table. The value 1 has a frequency of 3. So, the first 3 values in the table are 1s. The value 2 has a frequency of 5. So, the next 5 values are all 2s. This takes up to the 8th value. The next 2 values are 3s, which takes up to the 10th position in the data. So, the 10th value must be a 3. The next 4 values are 4s. So, the 11th value must be a 4. We can now see that the 10th and 11th values are a 3 and a 4. So, the median is 3.5. Now, let us move to learn the method of calculating mode. The model value of a set of data is the most frequently occurring value. For example, find the mode for 2, 6, 3, 9, 5, 6, 2 and 6. It can be seen that the most frequently occurring value is 6. There are 3 of these. Finding the mode from a table of data. From the table, values are given in column number 1 and frequencies are given in column number 2. Finding the mode is much easier from a table because the frequency column tells us how many times each value occurred. We can find the value which occurred the most often by looking for the value with the highest frequency. In this case, we can see that the value with the highest frequency is 2. The mode of this set of data is therefore 2. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the major measures of central tendency? Let us discuss the advantages first. Advantages of mean. Mean reflects the values of all the scores in the distribution. It has many desirable statistical properties. Mean is the most reliable for drawing inferences and the easiest to use in advanced statistical techniques. Advantages of median. Median can be used with either ordinal or interval or ratio data. It can be used even if there are open-ended categories or undeterminable scores on either side of the distribution. Median provides a good representation of a typical score in a skewed distribution and is not unduly affected by extreme scores. Median minimizes the sum of the absolute deviations, that is, the sum of score distances from the median, ignoring sign, is less than it would be from any other location in the distribution. Advantages of mode. Mode is easy to find. It can be used with any scale of measurement. Mode is the only measure that can be used with a nominal scale. Mode corresponds to actual score in the distribution. What are the disadvantages? Disadvantages of mean. Mean is usually not an actual score in the distribution. It is not appropriate for use with ordinal data. Mean can be misleading when used to describe a skewed distribution. It can be strongly affected by even just one very extreme score, that is an outlier. Disadvantages of median. Median may not be an actual score in the distribution. For example, if there is an even number of scores or tied scores in the middle of the distribution. Median does not reflect the values of all the scores in the distribution. For example, an extreme score can be moved even further out without affecting the median. Compared to the mean, it is less reliable for drawing inferences about a population from a sample and harder to use with advanced statistics. Disadvantages of mode. Mode is generally unreliable, especially when representing a relatively small population, and can change radically with only a minor change in the distribution. Mode can be misleading. The mode tells you which score is most frequent, but tells you nothing about the other scores in the distribution. Thus, radical changes can be made to the distribution without changing the mode. Mode cannot be easily used in conjunction with inferential statistics. Another important type of measures is measures of dispersion. What do you know about that? The measures of dispersion or variability are measures which show the variation or spread or dispersion of values or scores in a given distribution. The homogeneity or heterogeneity of the scores can be established with these measures. In this case, some or all the scores are considered with a view to determine the differences between the scores. The measures which we shall discuss in this unit are the range, the quartiles, the deciles and the percentiles. The range. This is the simplest but crude and unreliable method of estimating variability. It is defined as the difference between the highest and the lowest scores in a given distribution. It is designated by capital R. It is usually affected by the presence of two extreme scores. The greater the range, the greater the dispersion or variability. There are two types of range. The common type, most commonly used and simply called as the range, is technically known as exclusive range. It is the highest score minus the lowest score in a set of scores. It can be found using the formula R is equal to XH minus XL, where XH represents the highest score and the XL is the lowest score. Through example, we can find the range in the following set of scores: 66, 59, 72, 62, 57, 54, 66, 79, 14, 65, 64, 95 and 59. If you look at the scores very well, you will notice that the lowest score, that is XL, is 14 and the highest score, that is XH, is 95. Therefore, the range R will be XH minus XL, that is 95 minus 14, that is 81. Through example 2, let us find the range in the set of scores below: 53, 59, 60, 48, 64, 72, 56, 34, 75, 52, 36 and 93. Note that you do not need to arrange the scores in any order of magnitude before finding the range. The other type of range which is not commonly used is called inclusive range. It involves subtracting the real lower limit of the smallest score or observation from the real upper limit of the highest score. It is called inclusive because both the lowest score and the highest score are included in this arrangement. It is mostly used with grouped data. Find the inclusive range in the grouped data below from the table. From the table, class intervals are given in first row and frequencies are given in second row. Here, the lowest interval is 11 to 15 and the highest interval is 46 to 50. The exact limits are 10.5 to 15.5 and 45.5 to 50.5. The smallest observation is 10.5, the highest observation is 15.5. Therefore, the range is 50.5 minus 10.5, that is 40. Note that the inclusive range is always higher than the exclusive range by 1. When the range is not qualified in an ungrouped data, it is conveniently taken to mean the more commonly known range, the exclusive range. Now, let us discuss the quartiles. Median is a positional score which occupies the middle point on the score scale. In the same way, the quartiles are positional scores. When we count up from below to include the lowest or first quarter of the cases, then find the point called the first quartile. This is given the symbol Q1. The first quartile is the score point that sets of the lower quarter or 25% of the group. In the same way, when you count down from above to include the highest or fourth quarter of the cases, we locate the third quartile or Q3. In other words, the third quartile is the score point that sets of the upper 25% or quarter of the scores. The middle quartile Q2 is the median score point. You will note that the quartiles Q1, Q2 and Q3 are points on the measuring scale. They are division points between the quarters. We may say therefore, an individual in the highest quarter or fourth quarter, but not in a certain quartile. So, the quartiles are points that divide a score scale into 4 equal parts. These points can be located in a distribution scale. From the example, let us locate the Q1 and Q3 in the data given below. In the table, scores are given in the first row and frequencies are given in the second row. Steps to follow. First, complete the table to include the cumulative frequency. It is given in table. Find the 25% or 1/4 of the number of scores, that is 25 divided by 100 into 28 divided by 1, that is 7. Count from below along the frequency column until you get 25% of the cases. This gives Q1. It is between 23 and 25, that is Q1 is equal to 23 plus 25 divided by 2, that is 24. Find 75% or 3/4 of the scores, that is 75 divided by 100 into 28 divided by 1, that is 21. Count from below along frequency column until you get 75% of the cases. This gives Q3. It is between 28 and 29, that is Q3 is equal to 28 plus 29 divided by 2, that is 28.5. Next, we are going to discuss the percentiles. Percentiles are ordinal measures. They are score points which divide the distribution into 100 equal parts called percentages. In other words, they are points on the row score scale below which given percentages of the cases in the distribution fall. For instance, the 80th percentile is the point on the score scale that has exactly 80% of the cases below it. Percentiles are symbolized by the letter Px, with x denoting the particular percentile. Thus, the 90th percentile is written as P90. They are used for decision making when part of a population is to be selected because of its position within the total. Note that the median corresponds to the 50th percentile is P50 and the second quartile Q2. The first quartile corresponds to the 25th percentile, that is P25. The third quartile corresponds to the 75th percentile, that is P75. You will recall that the formula for calculating median is L plus n by 2 minus capital F divided by F into I. You also recall the formula for the quartiles, that is L plus n by 4 minus capital F divided by small f into I. You can see that they are almost the same. The formula for calculating the percentiles is the same and it is the adaptation of the same formula. It is used for specific percentile points. The general formula which can be used for any value of Px is equal to L plus Pn minus capital F divided by small f into I, where Px is the score at any given percentile, where Px is score at any given percentile, where small l is the lower real limit of the interval containing the given percentile Px. Pn is the desired percentage of n, that is n divided by 100. N is the total frequency, f is the cumulative frequency below the interval containing the percentile. Small f is frequency within the interval containing the desired score. I is interval size. The standard deviation or SD is the most useful index of variability. Shall we proceed to learn more about SD? It is a single number that represents the spread of a distribution. As with the mean, every score in the distribution is used to calculate it. The steps involved in calculating the standard deviation are straightforward. First, calculate the mean of the distribution, that is x bar is equal to sigma x divided by n. Then subtract the mean from each score. Each result is symbolized x minus x bar. Score each of the score, namely x minus x bar the whole square. Add up all the squares of these scores, sigma x minus x bar the whole square. Divide the total by the number of scores. The result is called variance. Take the square root of variance. This is the standard deviation. The above steps are summarized as follows. SD is equal to root of sigma x minus x bar the whole square divided by n. Let us summarize what we have discussed so far. The chapter provides a comprehensive picture of the different measures of central tendencies such as mean, median and mode. The method of calculating these central tendencies are discussed with examples. The advantages and disadvantages of major measures of central tendencies are also included in this chapter. The chapter makes the learner familiar with the different measures of dispersion like the range, the quartile, percentiles and standard deviation. The method of calculating each measure is explained with suitable examples. Now, you can try to answer the questions given here. Explain with examples the different measures of central tendency. How arithmetic mean differ from median? Explain the different measures of dispersion. How does range differ from quartiles? Explain the concept of standard deviation. Hope that you may go through the reference books for further reading. Statistical Reasoning for the Behavioral Sciences, written by Shavelson R.J. and published by Allen and Bacon, London 1976. Elementary Statistical Methods, written by Gupta S.P. and published by Sultan Chand and Sons, New Delhi in the year 1990. Statistics in Psychology and Education, written by Garrett H.E. and Woodworth R.S. and published by Wakils and Pfeffer and Simons Private Limited, Bombay 1969. Thank you for watching this program. We can meet again with another topic. Till then, take care.